And then St. Louis is just an absolute mess. Shen and Parayko could be back. Kasha, Hall out. Booch into COVID. Like, what are we going to do? Or what are they going to do?
Barbashev, Thomas, Kyrie, probably.
Why do they love Barbashev so much?
Like, Barbashev with Thomas is just a miserable combo. Who's going to score?
No, they're just going to keep passing it back and forth until they pass it.
They're going to pass it to Kyrie. Kyrie is going to have 18 goals tonight.
Chernak and McDonough, both game time decisions. Man, that could be like 25 minutes for Sergachev. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, whenever and wherever you're watching or listening. This is the Awesemo NHL DFS Strategy Show, and I'm your host, Michael Clifford, aka Slim Cliffy, joining me to talk for the next hour about just how great Florida's second line has been all season long, certainly much more than just last night. Our single entry assassin, Mr. Joshua Harris. Josh, how you doing today, buddy?
Yeah, and I don't like to come on the show and start just throwing the chat under the bus, but every time we talk about, oh man, my favorite line of the night, Florida 2. They're like, oh, Florida 2 again? But yeah, you needed Florida 2 last night to win with Colorado on the slate. So suck on that, Trebek.
See, and I was actually thinking about that this morning. If I'm not mistaken, I think that's the third time Florida 2 has nuked a slate. And they played like 33 games or something like that. So 1 out of every 11 games, like 9% or so, that feels about right. For a second line and their nuking ability. So like, you know, I'm going to keep playing them for the rest of the season. Like, I
will say they were cheaper than normal because Bennett was like, what, 5,500 last night?
Yeah, that was a big thing too. Was Bennett had been in, he was like 7,500, 7,700 at times, 5,500, a lot more palatable.
Duclair on that line is just like a goal scoring machine. So
like, I wrote about him this week elsewhere, and he's just a super player. It's really nice to see him just absolutely flourish in Florida. But we had a lot of winners over the last couple of days. We have to go back to a couple slates ago. S. Baker 000 took down the 20 max. Saw that Awesemo avatar in first place. He had Los Angeles 1 with Pasta and Yossi. That was the Pasternak hat trick game. So S. Baker 000 took down the 20 max for $2,000 on Wednesday night. And our buddy Hofbrau, he took down his second fantasy hockey world championship seat. Attaboy Hofbrau. He plays, I mean, he's eventually branched out into every sport. I know him best through the NHL, but winning 2 seats is no small feat. So congrats to Hofbrau as well. And then last night, saw Riley took down the Daily Dollar and the $12 single entry using Florida 2, obviously. And then our buddy Robbie, he had been saying he had been going through a little bit of a rough stretch lately, reached out to our boss, Alex Baker, for some inspiration. Alex Baker sent back, it doesn't matter how hard you get hit, it's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. And sure enough, Robbie goes out and goes about 11x last night. So maybe we just need to like watch Rocky this afternoon, or just, you know, play some Rocky quotes over and over in our head to work out for Robbie last night.
I don't know, like, yeah, maybe Robbie maybe Robbie's been going through a little DFS slump, but every morning he's sending us pictures from like a yacht or like he's on a cruise or he's in like some island. Like, he's living the good life and he had a good night in DFS. So
yeah, I mean, when you can wake up around palm trees and you win some money in DFS, it's definitely not a bad day. And I'm checking in chat. I see Patrick O says, I chopped the $15. God bless Florida too. Yeah, God bless Florida too. Attaboy, Patrick O, chopping that $15. I mean, definitely no small feat. Definitely a nice win on a Friday night. So congrats to you. Congrats to all the winners we've had here of late. We are sponsored by Yahoo Fantasy. We want to give them a shout out. They have been our sponsor all season long and have been very good to us. If you're new to DFS and you want to get your feet wet a little bit without playing against some sharks, Yahoo is a great way to do it. And we have a giveaway through them a little bit later on. Also want to shout out our unofficial sponsors. Josh is sponsored by Bang Energy Drink. And today I am sponsored by White Claw. Bang and White Claw. If you guys want to reach out to us, we will keep drinking these drinks on your program. And Mike is giving us a sad face in the producer chat.
Kidney stones will not deter me.
We have a lot to talk about today. We have a ton of games we have to get through. There is an early slate we should probably touch on first, Josh. The prize pools aren't huge, but people are going to be playing them. It's a 3-game slate. If you want to, we do have our tools and everything all set up at Awesemo. So if you're a subscriber, just head on over to awesemo.com. Everything should be set up already. We have Nashville going into Boston, Vancouver going into Carolina, and Washington going in with the Islanders. The biggest total is Carolina at a 3.3, Boston 3.1, and Washington at 3. Alex Ovechkin is a game time decision for the Capitals. Josh, why don't you just take a few minutes or a couple minutes and talk to us, some favorite lines, maybe some spots that you like across that early slate.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Like, I don't know if Forsberg is supposed to be back. We just haven't got that update yet. But, even if he is back, he's getting the Bergeron matchup. Not the best. Like, you see Boston prices have come way up since, the last game. So I think, I'm going to, if I was playing early, which I'm not because I was busy doing some MMA stuff this morning, I would be on Carolina here, going back to them. They absolutely burned everybody the other night. But, there isn't ownership up yet for the early slate. I don't know if there will be. But, I would imagine Carolina is going to be the highest owned on the 3-game slate. Even that being said, like, this is the best matchup on the slate. I think people will gravitate to that second line, Svechnikov, Trocheck, Netchus, just because of the price. But I think going back to that top line on Carolina is where I would focus. Jarvis is still there, but, Aho 8,100, I think people would be like, that's a little steep because I want to try to fit in other stuff. So I think going back to Carolina 1 would be what I would want to do. And then, depending on if, Ovechkin's in or out, like, I don't know. I kind of have interest in that Islanders second line, Beauvillier, Nelson, Wahlstrom. The thing is, like, the Islanders suck and the Capitals are a pretty good defensive team, but, it's a 3-game slate, so beggars can't be choosers. I don't really like stacking the Caps 5-on-5. If Ovechkin's in, I don't have a problem power play stacking the Caps. And then from that Boston Nashville game, there isn't too much that I like. If Forsberg's back and Tolvanen goes back to that second line, I don't mind Nashville too as a filler, but I think for me, I'm going to concentrate on Carolina.
Yeah, I just went into the lineup builder just to kind of play around with some lines. Obviously, I'm playing the early slate as well. I think I'm just going to do single entry. One thing I noticed, if you want to double punt your defenseman, like both under 3K, you could fit in Carolina 1 and Washington 1 in the slate. Yeah. Because Seth Jarvis is under 3K, probably on the top line for Carolina, and TJ Oshie on the top line for Washington down at 3,900, I believe. So you can fit in both the Carolina and the Washington top lines. But like you said, Ovechkin is a game time decision. If for some reason he doesn't play, that's the late locking game. And you're kind of boned at that point because there's no one else anywhere as close to his price range. So I do like Carolina 1 and Washington 1 the most. And I might even stack them together, but just beware that it could leave you in the lurch that if Ovechkin is scratched, you have nowhere else to go. You're going to be leaving thousands of dollars of salary on the table. But I agree with you. I think people will go to Carolina 2. I like Carolina 1 better. They're going to get depth matchups. That's how Carolina does their matchups, right? Aho typically does get a lot of depth matchups. So I will go to Carolina 1, also like Washington 1 from the early slate. I mean, I'll throw out a goalie. I am probably going to be playing UC Saros, even though I think he's priced too expensive on the road, just because I think there's an avenue where he's the top goalie in the early slate, barring shutouts. He's the top goalie on the early slate, even if he gives up a couple goals. So I like Saros. Any goalie in net for you?
Yeah. I guess Demko's always in, like, a goalie against Carolina is always in play in GPPs just because they're a high shot volume team. I feel like Ilya Sorokin's going to be popular just because they're hoping Ovechkin's out and he's 7,200 at home. But I do agree with you that Saros is my favorite play.
Yeah, I like Saros. Obviously, we both like Carolina and try to take a chance on Washington if you can feel like you can stomach it. That'll wrap it up for the early slate. We do have to get this moving. We have 9 games to get to on the main evening slate tonight. So let's get to these games. The first one is Buffalo with a 2.5 total. They're going into Detroit. The Red Wings have a 3.4 implied goal total. Big news for Buffalo here is both Tage Thompson and Peyton Krebs came off the COVID list yesterday, so they're both expected to play tonight for Buffalo. In our last couple of shows, we talked about how it was a big hit for Buffalo losing Tage Thompson because they don't have a top 6 center without him. And him coming back kind of changes a lot for this team because it puts players back in their natural positions. Despite the 2.5 total, I think there's stuff to like on both sides here. What do you like, Josh?
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if they skate and have line combinations, because that's kind of important with Buffalo. If you're thinking about playing Buffalo, you kind of want to, I would imagine it's going to be Skinner, Thompson, Tuck, but
that's what I have down in my personal notes, but just beware, it could change.
Yeah. And that does interest me just because Skinner's under 4K, Tuck is 4,500. They're going to get, Ernie, Rasmussen, Nemestikov, which has been they're obviously the best Detroit defensive line, but still it's around league average. So that doesn't really scare me away. So I will have some interest in Buffalo 1 if Tage Thompson does slide back in there. The thing is, I want to see ownership because right now the top line on Detroit is coming in at similar ownership as Buffalo 1, and they're going to get depth matchups of the Sabres, and the depth matchups of the Sabres are just nothing to scare me. Yeah, Detroit 1 has not been great recently, but they have a 3.4 total. They're fully correlated and coming in around 5% against the Buffalo Sabres team, they're just bad. So maybe it comes up during the day, but if they're sitting around 5% around lock, I really love Detroit 1 here. You want to go to Detroit 2? They're higher owned right now than Detroit 1, and I'm not sure why. I guess, because Fabry is 3,700 on the top power play, so it makes sense. But, I do really like Detroit 1. I like both top lines in this game, but ownership, I'm going to keep an eye on ownership here. But as it stands right now, I have interest in both top lines.
Yeah, it's the top lines that draw me here, but I want to talk about the Detroit second line first because it was a line that we used a fair bit earlier in the season, but their numbers have really fallen off. If you look at what they've done over the last 5 or 6 weeks, they haven't played a lot together, but if you look at the pairs like Fabry and Zadina or whoever else on that line, Suter and Zadina, whatever else, they're under 50% across the board and often under 45%. These guys are really getting rolled, which is why I think you're seeing Detroit 2. They have been going out against second lines earlier in the year. Now they're pretty much going out against third and fourth lines exclusively. It's because they're so bad defensively. But I wonder if that doesn't bring, like you said, it's the ownership, but that does bring them into play for me just because, the third and fourth lines for Buffalo, we talk about how putting players in proper positions. There's only so much depth on a team at the bottom of the league. So I do like Detroit 2 as a filler, but I'm with you. I love both top lines in this game. I'm writing up Tage Thompson in my Power Plays article. I'm writing up Detroit 1 in my Power Plays article. I'm right on board with you. We don't have a sample with Thompson and Tuck playing together, but Thompson has been pretty good this year, and Tuck seems to play well with almost anybody he's skated with. Doesn't matter if it's Buffalo or Vegas. So both top lines. On the blue line, I don't know if there's anybody I really want to play other than correlating. Dahlin is reasonably priced. I think Cedar's a little bit too expensive at 5,600, but anybody else stick out to you?
Particularly, it's like Hronik, if he's in the low threes, it's fine, but he's up to 4,500 on DK, and that's just too expensive. Like even Mark Stahl isn't in price. Like I don't know what the DraftKings algorithm is.
I mean,
is
Danny
doing.
DeKaiser is $3,900 today. What are we doing?
Yeah, so it's really like Dahlin with Buffalo one. Like Rasmus Dahlin, maybe if I have the salary left, I would want off him, but that's really bad. Like Cedar, like I don't even think it's necessary with Detroit one, but you can correlate.
Yeah, exactly. You don't have to. Not frequently, I'd say it's about 50-50 for me leaving Cedar off over the past few months when I make my lineups. All right, let's get to this next game. Dallas 2.4 implied goal total. They're going into Tampa. The Bolts have a 3.2 implied goal total. Dallas got the brains beat out last night. Jake Ottinger was pulled. Anton Hudobin came in. I think Ottinger was pulled after 4 and Hudobin led in 3 or 5, and then Hudobin led in 2. So I guess either goalie could technically start in this game. I think it's going to be Hudobin. I don't think it really matters. Like I see both guys kind of, mediocre blah goalies right about this point, especially with Hudobin being 36 or 37 years old or whatever he is now. On the Tampa side, Tampa did change up their lines a little bit last game. I don't know if, it's something that's necessarily going to stick because, Stamkos did skate with Kucherov. I don't think it's going to stick. I think they're going to go back to what's normal. We're seeing Tampa come in with reasonable ownership. I imagine that's going to come up a little bit through the day. But people just saw this Dallas team get their, like I said, just get absolutely blown out of the water. Are people going to run back to Tampa here, do you think?
I don't know. Like there is no ownership there, and it is worrying me a little bit, but I would imagine it comes up like Point Kucherov together or 15K. So it is a little bit expensive, but like Joseph is there still at min price. Stamkos is a wing now on DK. So if you want to do like Point Kucherov Stamkos for power play, I think that's fine. I don't know. I like the Point Kucherov stuff. You don't have to put in Joseph, but like Dallas just looks bad. When they look bad, it's just awful hockey. It's like some of the ugliest hockey.
I was gonna say it's like the Rangers. Like when they're really clicking, they can really look great, but when they look bad, they look worse than Detroit or Buffalo or whatever.
It's just brutal. So like I really love Tampa here. If you want to go to Killorn, Cirelli, Stamkos, that's fine. But for me, I'm gonna concentrate on Point Kucherov. Maybe, throw in a Killorn or a Stamkos for some more power play. On the Dallas side, like Dallas one is just insane expensive. Like they're over 21K on the road and a 2.4 total. I don't get it. Like Tampa's a good team. That's another DK algorithm. Just, they got heavy into the claws last night, I guess. So
I mean, like 150 max, they're gonna have under 1% ownership, so they're in play if you're playing 150. But if you're single entry, you're 3 max,
no shot. And like I don't know if you want to go to Ben, Sagan, Peterson. Not like I just have no interest in the Stars tonight. They just got rolled by the Panthers. They're back to back on the road. This is a tough matchup. I'm interested in the Tampa top 6.
So this is what's interesting to me is that this isn't like a monster home total for Tampa, right? Like 3.2 is high, but we just did the Detroit Red Wings sitting at 3.4. The Toronto is higher at 3.3. Colorado higher at 4.2. Edmonton higher at 3.8. Pittsburgh higher at 3.3. Like for a team that just got their brains beat in 7-1, Dallas doesn't have a significantly high total against them. So maybe that's where that ownership is coming from, right? The low Tampa ownership is like there are 5 or 6 games with higher totals than them on this slate today. So, I mean, maybe they do come in with reasonable ownership, and I think reasonable would be under 10% here. So yeah, I do like that Tampa top 6 as well. Again, if you're playing 150, I think it makes sense to have some of that Dallas one, 3 or 4% or something like that. Other than that, I don't think there's anything for me for the Dallas side, at least not amongst their forwards. on the blue line, I think there are a lot of interesting guys to talk about. Esa Lindell had been skating, 23, 24 minutes for Dallas of late. He's in the low fours now on DraftKings, where I think that price has come down a bit. He had been in the high fours of late. I think that's fine if you don't want to play the Heiskanen-Klingberg duo. On the Tampa side, before we came on the air, we got word that both Ryan McDonagh and Eric Chernak, game time decisions for Tampa. If both those guys don't play, like Sergachev had been playing 22, 23 minutes of late as it was. It seems like he might play 25 tonight. I kind of like Sergachev if those guys are out. What do you think, Josh?
Yeah, even if one of them's out, Sergachev's going to play big minutes. So if both are out, he's going to play like 25 without even blinking. So yeah, Sergachev at 4K, definitely in play. I agree with you. Esa Lindell is fine at 42. It's really about it. Like Miro's 6,500 on the road. That's really high. Klingberg 5,800, really high. Suitors even over 4K. So Esa Lindell or Sergachev for me.
Yeah. Pretty good questions in chat talking about Dallas 2 tonight, because Dallas 2 was the line that got throttled by Florida 2 last night. Any thoughts since Florida 2 dominated last night, run Tampa Bay 2 tonight? And, people are asking who matches Dallas 1 and all that. Point and Kucherov are going to get the shutdown matches. It's just Dallas 2 has not been that good. So I guess, you could go Tampa 2. That is definitely the better matchup. I just think Tampa 1 is just a much better line. How do you?
I agree. Like Sorelli, Stamkos, Killorn just don't generate at a high rate. They're just kind of there. Like I know they've had good games the past few games. It's like it worries me that they don't generate a ton, but like they're obviously cheaper than Point Kucherov. It's one of those things like Colorado. I feel bad stacking Colorado without Kucherov. It's like I feel like I need Kucherov if I'm going to use the Lightning.
Yeah, so I just want to correct myself real quick. I just checked our line matching, and I was looking at our line matching sheet, and it says Braden Point against second lines, and I went and looked back at Tampa playing against Vancouver, and Tampa put out the point line quite a bit against Miller, the Miller-Besser line. So I think Point's going to get the top line matchup. Do you agree?
Yeah. I mean, maybe they see some of that second line, but I would imagine for the most part they're going out against.
Okay, I just want to clear.
I just don't think they're going to send out Stamkos regularly against top comp.
Yeah, I just think that's important to clarify because it is a pretty important matchup distinction for this game. All right, let's move it along. Super Wildcard Weekend is here, and that means plenty of opportunities to take down a big NFL showdown or single game GPP. Through Monday, January 17th, our NFL Express Weekly Pass will only be $1 when you use the promo code SUPERWILD at checkout. That's SUPERWILD, all capital letters, all one word, to activate a $1 NFL Express Weekly Pass. And that gives you access to our player and ownership rankings to all the NFL slates and everything we have to offer for showdown and single game contests, including player projections, ownership projections, and our top plays tool. Once again, that's Super Wild, all capital letters, all one word, at checkout, or you can simply click the link in the description below to get a $1 NFL Express Weekly Pass. Stop guessing, start winning. Join Awesemo Plus today. This is probably the best deal I've seen since I've started working here. Like, if you really just want to see what any of our tools are about, it's just $1 to check out our NFL plays for the weekend. So be sure to come check us out if you want to do it for cheap before spending maybe a little bit more money. All right, let's move it along to this next game. This one is the battle of Mike versus Josh. We have the New York Rangers, a 3.1 implied goal total going into Philly. The Flyers have a 2.5 implied goal total. I was writing up the Power Plays article this morning, and one thing that obviously jumped out to me immediately was some of the pricing on the side of the New York Rangers. I noticed Artemi Panarin priced under $6,000, which honestly feels kind of ridiculous, but I mean, I kind of get it at the same point. Igor Shesterkin expected to start tonight for the Rangers up against Carter Hart. Who you got here, Josh?
like the Rangers ownership is just really high, considering that they absolutely suck 5-on-5. But I get it because like Kreider under 6K, Mika's not 8,100 like he is all season for whatever reason. Panarin's under 6K, Strome 4,400. Like, and then like the guys on the top line, Kakko's under 3K, Philip Heedle's min price. If you want to play either of the Rangers top lines, I think that's fine. Like it's a good matchup. I just worry about ownership. I think what I would do with the Rangers here is just full on power play stack. They do their best on they do their best damage on the power play. You can fit in Kreider, Zibanejad, Panarin, Strome. It's not going to hamper you. Adam Fox, 6K. He's been up around 8K points this season. So you just full on power play stack here and don't worry about ownership. Excuse me. I don't know what's going on with my voice here. But on the Flyer side, I think that, that top line has been pretty good. Farabee, Giroux, Atkinson. The thing is, like, I just don't like stacking against Igor. If you want to go ahead and use some Flyers top line here, I think that's fine. But that's really about it on the Flyers for me.
Yeah, I really wanted to play the Flyers top line here, and I think I'm still kind of interested in them. And the reason for that is I see pretty reasonable ownership on them coming in under 5%. And I don't think that Giroux, Farabee, and Atkinson is a particularly great line. Like if you look at Farabee, he tends to drag down lines by shot share and scoring chance share. But he is a pretty good goal scorer. Like Farabee is like, he's a pseudo line A is kind of the way I would describe him. He doesn't drive the play, but he finishes the play very, very well. And that's kind of really important for DFS. You don't want expected goals in DFS. You want actual goals. And I think that Philly top line, Giroux and Atkinson do have decent numbers together. Again, Farabee will probably drag them down. But coming in under 5%, coming in under 15K on DraftKings, at home, Shesterkin is a really tough matchup. That's what gives me more pause than playing the Rangers. I'll be honest. Like, going up against Zibanejad doesn't bother me whatsoever. It's going up against Igor Shesterkin that really bothers me. So I'm going to have some thinking to do. Philly 1 is at least going to be in consideration for my 20 max. I'll put it at that. They're not at the top of my priority list, but in consideration. On the Rangers side, it's Rangers 2. Like I said, I wrote up Artemi Panarin. I understand they're coming in with really bad leverage, but I mean, that entire team's going to come in with bad leverage today. I don't know what to say. People are going to pick on the Flyers today. Like the entire Rangers top 6 is going to have like relatively significant ownership for a team on the road on a 9-game slate. So being kind of ownership agnostic here, I will go with Panarin, Strome, and Heedle. I think Heedle could add an offensive dimension to that line they have been missing. On the blue line, Jacob Trouba down under 5K. Really, really tickles my fancy here. I also like Cam York under 3K for the Flyers. Is there anybody else? He's running the top power play unit, playing 21 minutes a night, top prospect for the Flyers. Anybody else sticking out to you?
Not particularly. I mean, if you want to correlate Fox, that's fine. Trouba definitely in play for a one-off Cam York, but that's really about it.
Yeah, I agree. I see a super chat from our buddy Matt Niehaus. Niehaus, thank you very much for the super chat. He says, does slate size impact your lineup build 4-3-1, 3-3-2, etc.? How do you choose the build to use on slates with many high totals like today? I will say the totals themselves don't really affect my build. The slate size does. When I get to like 10, 9, even a 9-game slate, 9, 10, 11, 12-game slates, I will do more cookie cutter like 3-3 stacks. Like just straight up stack 2 lines. That's it. Put in a couple defensemen. Maybe one of them's correlated and that'll make it a 4-3-1. Maybe it's not. I don't force that. When we get to smaller slates, people have to realize an entire line going off in the same night is not a common event, right? The reason we stack is because you hope that in the stack, you get one guy go absolutely nuclear. You get another guy do pretty well. And then the third guy will get 10 or 15 points or whatever. That's kind of what you're looking for. So on a bigger slate, I just want to get the full line stacks in. I don't want to have to get too fancy there. Just simply too many options. On a smaller slate, I'll do like a 3-2-1 stack or a 3-3-2 stack. I will get more creative with my stacking this with the fewer number of games. What do you think, Josh?
Yeah, I mean, it also depends on who you're using. Like if you're using an elite line, you don't want to leave anyone off that line just for sake of getting different. Like if you're using, you know, I always use the example old Boston one. If you're using old Boston one, you don't really want to leave anyone off. You just want to use the whole line. So it really is kind of dependent on who I want to use. If it's if I'm using a line that has a third wheel, maybe I'll end up with a 3-3-2. But on these big slates, I generally try to go 3-3. And then if I correlate a defenseman, it happens. I don't like force it in though.
Yeah, I agree. A slate this size, most of my lineups will be 3-3s. There'll be some 3-2-1s. I need 3-3-2s or anything like that, or nothing on a 9-game slate. All right, let's move us along then. Toronto, they're going into St. Louis. Toronto has a 3.3 implied goal total. St. Louis Blues sitting at 2.7. Mitch Marner back for the Leafs. He's on the top line with Austin Matthews. But there is a lot of news here. Braden Shen and Colton Parayko could be back tonight off the COVID list for St. Louis. But Pavel Buchnevich was put on the COVID list. And I haven't seen a Blues practice yet today. So we don't know who's going to jump to the top line in Pavel Buchnevich's spot. At times, it has been Jordan Kyrou, but I really don't think they're going to break up the second line. I think you're going to see somebody like Oscar Sundqvist or Nathan Walker jump up to the top line with Ryan O'Reilly. And on the Toronto side, Andre Kasha to the COVID list, and Justin Hall also on the COVID list. That's moved Timothy Liljegren, a younger defenseman for the Leafs, to the second pair. Lots of moving parts here, Josh. We don't even have a St. Louis lineup. What do you think of this game?
I'm not super excited about it. My buddy Marner's back, which honestly helps Matthews a lot. She thinks I'm obsessed with Matthews. I'm not. Just take it easy over there. She got me water, now she's laughing about Matthews. Maybe I'll leave you for Austin Matthews. Be careful, keep laughing over there. But yeah, Matthews, Marner, I guess okay. Like they're gonna get O'Reilly. It depends who's up there. Like Sundqvist doesn't really do anything for me. Nathan Walker doesn't do anything for me. Like if they make it, like if Perron's back, like it may give me some pause on Matthews, Marner here, just because O'Reilly, Perron, like pretty slow pace, which would push me down to Tavares Nylander. I generally like Tavares Nylander better than Matthews Marner just because Nylander is the best Leaf. Price wise though, they're pretty expensive at $14.9 to full stack. I'd rather play Point Kucherov for $100 more than Tavares Nylander. It's just what it is. So like price wise, I'm not super enthusiastic about the Leafs tonight. I need to see Blues lines because if it is Sundqvist on that top line, I'm going to have interest in Toronto on just what it's going to be. Like Sundqvist does nothing for me, but depending on Blues lines, Leafs top six, and then like the price on the Blues are just taking me off them. Like I just have no interest at their price of the 2.7 total at home. Also, like we talk about how good of a season Igor Shesterkin's had. Like Jack Campbell has had an incredible season so far this year. It's a tough matchup for the Blues.
And one thing I want to mention with St. Louis is like if the second line is Kyrou, Thomas, and Barbashev, that line's over $17,000 here tonight. And like Barbashev, he's having a pretty good season, but I think he's punching above his weight. And Robert Thomas, I said those things about Robert Thomas in the last game, and then he scored. Yeah, of course he had to. But he's not a goal scorer. And I see the San Jose top line coming at the same price. Like you said, the Tampa top line coming in at the same price. Like I get the leverage argument, and there could be a leverage argument with that St. Louis second line here against the Toronto second line. But man, in a 2.7 total, when I think there's one goal scorer on that entire line, like I know some people are higher on Barbashev than we are. We're not as high on him. Like I don't see it, but anyways,
for 5,200, I'm not.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like a 4K Barbashev I could probably stomach, or something like 3,800, 5,200 is just. I mean, I'll probably end up playing him now that I'm saying all this, but like I just really think it is too steep of a price. So again, like in your 150s, maybe you want to have 3 or 4%. I don't know if I'm going to have anything from St. Louis in my 20 max. On the Toronto side, I agree with you. It's the top line that really interests me. Um, their last 5 weeks with Marner, 63% shot share, 63% of the scoring chances, 73 shot attempts per 60 minutes. They're just dynamos offensively. The one thing that worries me, St. Louis does have a pretty good penalty kill. Not like elite or anything, but good. And Toronto has been relying more on their power play for scoring. So that could be a little bit of a problem here. But I do like Toronto one.
Talk about the Leafs power play. Look up Marner's numbers on the power play. It is the funniest thing you'll ever see in your life.
I'll just say this. I edited an article. I write about season-long fantasy hockey at Dauber Hockey, and I edited an article over there. And the guy that I was editing talked about how Toronto changed up their power play shooters basically after the first 5 or 6 weeks of the season. Like if you look earlier in the season, Mitch Marner was like the trigger guy on the power play.
It makes no sense. He doesn't shoot on the power play.
And then they completely got away from that. And since then they've been by far the best power play in hockey. It was just kind of funny to see, but it just goes to show like it is a fine line on that top Toronto power play. And St. Louis does have a good penalty kill. I think there's like, if you're 3 maxing or 20 maxing, I think there are cases to be made to just fade this game entirely here. Yeah. I will say I do like the Toronto top line. I will probably have, somewhere around 10% of them in this one. On the blue line, if Colton Parayko's back, that basically takes every St. Louis defenseman out of play for me. Torrey Krug at 5,400, too expensive. Justin Fall at 4,700, too expensive. Even Mikla at 3,500, I think is too expensive. I don't think there's this maybe from the Toronto side, like Liljegren 2,500, but you know what I think is going to end up happening to Toronto is something like they do in Colorado, which is 3 defensemen get like 24 minutes and then everybody else gets like 13.
Yeah.
And I think you can see something like that with Riley, Muzzin, Brody all playing 23, 24, 25, 26 minutes. And then like Liljegren, Sandin, and Dermott, those guys playing, 13, 14, 15. I think that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, there's literally not a single defenseman from this game that I want to play. I guess like if you want to correlate Riley, that's fine, but 6,800 for Riley, right? Like on the road.
I don't even think correlating is a good idea.
Yeah, like it'll make your stack way lower owned. Like that's the only positive thing I can say about it.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Like very few people will have a Toronto power play with Riley stack here tonight. So it will be low owned. If you want to take that risk, by all means, go ahead. All right, let's get to this next one. Anaheim going into Chicago. The Ducks have a 2.7 implied goal total. The Chicago Blackhawks have a 2.9 implied goal total. Anaheim played last night, got their brains beaten 7-3, I think it was. John Gibson expected to start tonight for the Ducks. It was Stolarz last night. Sonny Milano was hurt for Anaheim. And the interesting thing about that is when a player gets hurt, typically the lines get all mixed. Obviously, there's only 11 forwards. It's an odd number for, you're supposed to have 12 or 9 or whatever. But they kept the Zegras line together the entire time. That tells me that, assuming Milano's out tonight, that Zegras line could play heavy minutes here. On the Chicago side, I couldn't believe this when I looked at it, but you and I were talking before the show. The Chicago top line with Kane and Hagel, the worst leverage spot on the entire slate by our top 2 stacks. So it appears people are going to be playing them, but I think there's pretty good reason not to. How do you see this game, Josh?
Yeah, I don't like this game at all. There is one line, like I guess 2, but really one line that I would want to play if the ownership's in check, and that's Taze, Kubalik, DeBrincat. There's not a line on the Ducks that worry me defensively. If heavy ownership's going to go to the Kane line, I want to play DeBrincat, Taze, Kubalik, just coming in, 4 or 5% right now. I have to see how ownership goes. Like Jake always says, like people with Kane always end up over-owned in the model. So maybe, a little bit of that ownership comes down and it goes to the Taze, Kubalik line, but we'll see. If you want to play Comtois, Zegras, or Kel, that's fine. You were dropping a ton of knowledge in our Discord about how bad Zegras is without Sonny Milano. And, that does worry me. But, like, at the same time, Comtois is 3K. Raquel is 4,900. They're going to get one of the worst defensive teams in the NHL. So I think, at 2%, you can play that Zegras or Comtois line. I'm not going to, get them in one lineup just because, those numbers together haven't been great. But in MME or even, if you're making 3 lineups, they're definitely be in consideration for me.
Yeah, I do like that Zegras line, but it's the numbers really do worry me, man. You and I were talking before the show. If Zegras hasn't played with Sonny Milano, literally anybody else he's played with in Anaheim this season has just dragged his numbers into oblivion. And I mean that sincerely. 45% shot share or less when he's playing with any other winger but Sonny Milano. And I don't know why that's the case. I assume it's a chemistry thing with Milano and Zegras, both talented wingers and all that. Maybe Milano or maybe Zegras doesn't have another talented winger to play with. Rickard Rakell is more of a shooter type winger at this point of his career. But it's just really bad numbers. And I don't want to rush out just to slam in a line that's coming in with fine ownership that doesn't really have great numbers. I honestly think I can't believe I'm saying this. I want to play Jonathan Toews' line here tonight. Toews, yeah. Kubalik, yeah, Toews, Kubalik, DeBrincat has actually been an above water line this year, which is not something that very many Chicago lines have been able to say. And there's no Anaheim line that scares me. There's absolutely none.
DeBrincat's their best goal scorer. It's not even close.
And there's, like I said, there's with Milano out, there's honestly no matchup that worries me on the Anaheim side. So yeah, I'll just go in with Chicago. I see them coming in 4, 5, 6% ownership at home against the Anaheim Ducks, who are playing a back-to-back on the road. I'm gonna have some Chicago too here. So DeBrincat, Toews, Kubalik for me, coming in with reasonable ownership. I don't think I'm going to be playing anything from the Anaheim side. I really don't. I mean, people are going to play Zegras. Go ahead, play Zegras. Coming in with fine ownership. I just rather play the Toews line in this game. On the blue line, I don't know how they count the 5 days or whatever, that you have to wait after you test positive for COVID, because technically this is the 5th day for Seth Jones, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. That's 5 days. I don't know, because he was announced positive on Tuesday. I don't know if that counts as the first day or not. You know what I mean? If it does, he could technically be back tonight. If it doesn't, he can't till tomorrow. Just keep an eye out for any news on Seth Jones. I haven't seen any. He didn't skate in the morning skate today, so I assume he's out. Connor Murphy was back with Calvin DeHaan. I assume those guys are probably going to be in play for us on the blue line, but they're both 4K plus. What do you think here, Josh?
Yeah, there's nothing on either side that really interests me. If you want to play Cam Fowler with Ducks 1, he's running that top unit now, I guess is fine, but I'm not going to go out of my way to play 4,500 Cam Fowler. I'm not going to go out of my way to play 4K Calvin DeHaan. Seth Jones is back, and he may not be, but I would have some interest in Seth Jones, but we don't have that news yet.
Yeah, I even if he's back at 7K, I don't think I would play him right off the COVID list. So might not be a defenseman for either of us out of this game. We have partnered with Yahoo Fantasy this NHL season to bring you some great offers. Check out our exclusive limited time offer, which gets you 1 free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum. To qualify, you need to be new to Yahoo, sign up for an account via the link below, deposit and play. That's it. Yahoo will send us your name after you played in your first paid contest, and we'll reach out via email with your coupon. If you need immediate access, email support@awesemo.com and we'll get you set up right away. You can also claim a free $10 of site credit by clicking the link in the video description below, and that can be used to enter any Yahoo contest, including the $2,000 NHL Baller tonight and the $500,000 NFL wildcard ballers today and Sunday. Make sure to use our DFS tools and projections designed specifically for Yahoo to give yourself the best shot at winning big. Should mention, we also added Yahoo projections for NHL yesterday, I believe. So if you've been playing Yahoo NHL, we now have official Yahoo projections for NHL at awesemo.com. Come and check us out. All right, let's get to these final four games. The first one, Colorado, 4.2 implied goal total. They're going into Arizona. The Yotes have a 2.3 implied goal total. I got mad last night. I bet on the Arizona Coyotes and they lost in a shootout. I guess you can't get mad about a bet you made it like plus 480 or whatever, but I still get mad about those things because I'm me. Colorado really didn't do much yesterday. I wonder if that leaves ownership often today, but I think as optimizers have gotten more popular over the last couple of years, people chasing or staying away from game logs has become less frequent. So I still think you're going to see some hefty Colorado ownership here. What do you think, John?
Yeah, I think Landeskog's supposed to be back, right?
They said he traveled with the team, is what they said. He traveled with the team. He can be back. I guess we'll find out in like 5 hours or something like that.
Yeah, if he's back, that line's like 25-1 or something like that. But like the thing is, like, Andre Burakovsky's a nice player, but like he does not fit on that line like Landeskog does. So like if Landeskog's back and they have reasonable ownership, like I think this is a great night to go back to Colorado 1. They didn't have a great game yesterday, but like, Burakovsky is more suited for that second line. It just is what it is. Like that top line just plays better with Landeskog for whatever it is. So like, I do really like Colorado 1. Going back to Colorado 1 here, I'm interested in their ownership. Usually with Colorado, like whatever their latest ownership run is, you bump it up like 5-6%. People just love jamming in Nathan MacKinnon. It is what it is. I would imagine Gabriel Landeskog is going to be the lowest owned of the trio. So like I just talked about with the Niehaus super chat, elite lines, I like full stacking. You'll get the 3 lower owned. I also don't mind like if Landeskog's back, like I do really like Colorado 2, especially with Nishushkin there. Like with him there, the numbers get so much better. They're coming in higher owned than Colorado 1 right now, but we'll have to see throughout the day. And then on the Coyote side, they're just, not much there that I want to play. Like, especially with that Johan Larson coming in at 6%. Like, no, thank you. Yeah, just not much on the Yotes tonight.
Yeah, the Yotes, both their top 2 lines coming in over owned by our top 2 stacks, which I kind of get it. Like Arizona legitimately has been playing better over the last 5 or 6 weeks.
Yeah,
this isn't the team. This isn't the team from October, early November anymore, right? But it's still a Colorado Avalanche.
Yeah.
And it's still over-owned Arizona lines. Like, I don't have interest in playing Johan Larson at 6%, like you said. I just don't, not on a 9-game slate. So, I mean, I guess Clayton Keller, a Keller Boyd 2-man or something like that, I think could be fine. Or just one off in Clayton Keller, I think is fine. His peripherals have definitely climbed as the team has gotten better over the last few weeks. I think it's going back to the Colorado side. What I would do with Colorado would be power play stack here. Because then you can get cheaper and then you can get different, right? You can stack the top line, leave off MacKinnon, adding Kadri, or, just use like MacKinnon, Kadri, and then Makar or something like that. You know what I mean? You can do a lot more different stuff. In Arizona, amongst the most penalties taken over the last 6 weeks, which is not a good thing for a penalty kill that's also at the bottom of the league over the last 6 weeks. So a great power play matchup for Colorado. I'm power play stacking. Somehow, some way, that's how I'm treating Colorado tonight. On the blue line, I think it's our usual, if you want to play the power play stack, Makar, Taze makes a nice, differentiation point. Are you dipping your toes in some mayo here tonight, Josh?
I mean, I have my feet in mayo right now, manifesting.
Oh my God, I knew you were going to go there.
No, but like, I don't know. I think there's other spots that I like better. Like he's becoming like a cult classic player. You know what I mean? Like he's gonna have ownership just because he's Dyson Mayo. Then on the Colorado side, like Devin Taze is the Mackenzie Weegar of the Colorado Avalanche, and I think he's a very good pivot off Makar if you can't get up there. Janice Moser is interesting to me. I wish he was a little bit cheaper, but I think it's going to be Taze for me if I can't get to Makar. And probably not anything on the Coyote side.
That's my problem with Moser is like you basically need 2 assists from him for him to reach value. Like he's not going to be a big peripheral guy. And I hate relying on production from my cheap defenseman. But yeah, if you want to do it, go right ahead. Next game, Los Angeles 2.9 going into Seattle. They have a 2.6 implied goal total. I was looking up some of the stats from the Seattle lines. It's awful. Like awful. Yanni Gord, Calle Yarncroc over the last 6 weeks, 43% shot share, and that's the matchup that the Kopitar line is going to get tonight. Seattle just doesn't scare me at all. Bottom 10 penalty kill, bad shutdown line, bad goal. Like even their goaltending is like 896, and that's improved over the last month or so. So like, I kind of like Los Angeles here. Josh, what do you like?
Yeah, when I woke up this morning, I was like, oh yeah, LA 2. And then I was like, then I looked at the pricing, I was like, oh yeah, LA 1. Just because like Kopitar is 5,300. He was like 7,900 for most of the season. Now he's randomly 5,300 in a really good matchup. I think you can yeah, thanks Mike with the that picture. But I think you can just full on power play stack here, to be honest with you. Like go LA1, add in Arvidsson. If you want to leave off Doughty, that's fine. But like Arvidsson's still 5K. Like just full on power play stack. LA1 is going to be pretty high owned just from a price standpoint, but they've been, since they went together with Iafallo, Kopitar, Kempe, they've been a very, very good line. And now their prices have come down. They're getting a very good matchup. They're getting a bad penalty kill. Like the stars are aligning for this line. You want to go to LA2, I think that's fine. Like that line generates shots. Like it's like insane. So I think going to the second line is fine. But for me, I'm going to go LA1. I'm going to go LA power play. On the Seattle side, there just isn't much there. Like I think like if I want to try to get in a Colorado power play stack, like 4 of them, not you can't full power play stack them. It's just not possible. I think if you want to go for like a 4-man Colorado stack, I think you can go to Wenberg, Donato, 2-man, because they're going to get, you know, like Turcotte, Kupari, Brown. And while like I am a big believer in Turcotte and Kupari going forward, like I just don't think they're there defensively yet. And like Wenberg, Donato get some secondary power play time. They're 5,300 for the 2 of them. What does bother me is like Donato's coming in almost around 5% right now, but you know, they're super cheap. You can get Colorado in with them, so I don't mind that. But other than that, I'm out on Seattle.
Yeah, Seattle's top line is kind of interesting to me because you mentioned that matchup, how Donato does match up against the third line from the Kings. Seattle has been sending their top line against the third lines at times as well, right? Like they try to hide that matchup a little bit. And Johansson and McCann have been pretty good together. It's a small sample. I think we're talking about 35 minutes, but, you know.
Offensively, anyway.
Yeah, offensively. But, you know, at least they're doing something offensively, which is not a lot. You know, the rest of the lineup can't really say the same thing. So I think that McCann, Eberle, Johansson line is kind of fine to stack here tonight. Like, I'm not going to have a ton of them. I might have, you know, one maybe or 2 out of my 20, but I think I'm definitely going to have some of that McCann line. But it is that Los Angeles top line. I'm going to be writing them up in the Power Plays article. They're too cheap. They have a great matchup against that Gord line, and the power play, the penalty kill, from Seattle has gotten better, but it's still not elite. So LAK 1 and Seattle 1, maybe some Seattle 1 for me. On the blue line, the only guy I really like is the big rig, Jamie Alexiak, 2,900, playing 21 minutes a night of late. What do you got?
Yeah, I don't mind Drew Doughty just because his price has come down too. He's 5,300. It's reasonable. That's really about it. Like I saw like Sean Dursey was like 7-8% the last slate, and he ended up having a 3-point game. That's just crazy. But like on the third pair, minutes are a concern. But I do agree with you with Alexiak.
All right. Get access to all the great Awesemo Plus tools and content for nearly every DFS sport out there with an Awesemo Plus weekly pass for $29.95. This includes full access to all the premium content and tools on Awesemo.com. That includes player projections, ownership projections, our Discord channel, our lineup builder, and a whole lot more. If you're a new user of Awesemo Plus Platinum, then you can take advantage of the promo code we have for this show, which is NHL Strategy Show, all capital letters, all one word. That's NHL Strategy Show for 25% off your first week of Awesemo Plus Platinum. You can find the link to activate this coupon in the description of the video below. And of course, if you're only looking to play NHL DFS, then you can sign up for one of our Awesemo Plus NHL packages for as low as $3.95 a week. Stop guessing, start winning. Join Awesemo Plus today with your promo code NHL Strategy Show, all capital letters, all one word, 25% off your first week of Awesemo Plus Platinum. We have a bunch of shows coming up later on in the day. Our MMA Live Before Lock starts in about 30 minutes with Floyd and Rogers. Don't forget to check out Josh's MMA betting article up on awesemo.com as well. The NFL betting show starts at 2 o'clock Eastern, and that will be followed by the NFL Deeper Dive and Live Before Lock. And then at 4:45 Eastern, our NBA double dose of Deeper Dive and Live Before Lock starts. And then at 7 Eastern, our NFL showdown, or 7:30 Eastern, sorry, our NFL showdown starts. So NFL and our MMA, NFL, NBA, then back to NFL. If you're betting, if you're playing fantasy, we have you covered for the rest of the day. 2 more games to get to. Let's get through these games real quick, Josh. Ottawa, 2.8 implied goal total going into Edmonton. Edmonton has a 3.8 implied goal total. I'm going to be honest. Obviously, I'm going to write up Connor McDavid for my Power Plays article today. But straight up, I think, like, for an even strength line, the Ottawa top line is my favorite line in this game. Coming in very good leverage. They have very good offensive numbers. Edmonton's just looked bad of late, and Ottawa didn't look that bad in their first game out of the gate the other night. What do you think of this game, Josh?
Yeah, Edmonton hasn't played in a while either, so like this is going to be like quite a mess. Leon Draisaitl, Connor McDavid, obviously elite together, but they're very high event. Like Kachuk, Norris, Batherson definitely in play for me. Especially with Zach Cassian on that line. Like, get out of here with Zach Cassian. It's 2022, not 1993. Like, come on. Like, it is what it is. Like, but like Oilers coming in with 35% right now. Like, if that's gonna be the case, I'd much rather play Colorado 1 than Edmonton 1 here. I'd rather, just go to the Ottawa side here. And like the second line of Hyman, McLeod, Puljujärvi, like give me Stützle Formenton, baby. Stützle Formenton as a filler. My boy Alex Formenton, min price still. Dude just shoots the puck. Timmy Stu. You can even add in Nick Paul for min price. 9,200 to full stack here.
Lead last game, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
So
let's go. Josh stacked the Senators on a big slate. No, but like seriously, like Ottawa 1 definitely in play for me. Like Stu Skinner might be in net for the Oilers tonight. Like who? And then like so like if you need a filler, Stützle Formenton honestly is in play for me just because Hyman, McLeod, Puljujärvi doesn't. It is what it is. If you want to play Edmonton 1, go for it. But like at that ownership, I'm going to the Colorados of the world, the Lightning of the world. Like GPP is like a 40% owned line on a big slate is a fade for me. If they burn me, they burn me. I'd rather get ahead of 40% of the field if they bust.
I think if I were to play Edmonton tonight, it would be power play stack. And I might actually just full 5-man the power play. And the reason for that is Ottawa's penalty kill is like bottom of the league over the last 6 weeks. So if you want to get away from the ownership, I think, Draisaitl, McDavid plus Yamamoto or something like that, I think would make a lot of sense. I do like the Edmonton power play stack. I love the Ottawa top line in this game as well. All right, let's get to this final game. Pittsburgh 3.3 implied goal total going into San Jose. The Sharks have a 2.6 implied goal total. In my power plays article that's going to be posted later, I'm going to be writing up Jonathan Dahlen. I do like he had jumped to the top line in the last game with Hurdle and Timo Meier. And Meier and Dahlen have very elite numbers with Logan Couture. I gotta imagine they're going to do the same thing with with Thomas Hurdle, and they're going to avoid the Crosby matchup. So I really like that Meier, Dahlen, Hurdle trio as long as they're skating together. What do you think of this game, Josh? I
agree. I also love Pitt 1 as I always do, but like their price has come down a little bit. They're not like 22K like they were earlier this week. This is a pretty good matchup if they avoid Hurdle, Meier, Dahlen, which they should. Couture at this stage of his career is not the defensive player he was. Not that he was ever like an elite shutdown guy, but I really like Pitt 1. I like the Hurdle Meyer line, getting the Malcolm Carter matchup. Like I've been saying it all week. I don't think long term they're going to be very good defensively. So both top lines in this game for me for sure.
Yeah, I agree with you. Like Pitt 1, great leverage on them. The leverage comes through eventually. We saw that last night with Florida too. All right, that'll do it for us today. We got to get to our hat trick picks and our goalies. My hat trick pick for today is Drake Batherson, and my goalies are Jordan Binnington, Aaron Dell, Jonathan Quick. Who you got? I know. Talk about a list.
I just blacked out. My my hat trick pick is Anze Kopitar. And my goalies are gonna be Igor, because I'm a Rangers slappy and I have to mention him. I don't mind Vasilevsky if you're paying up as well. And I'm looking for like a cheap punt guy here. Like Gibson is in play for me if it is him. Even if it's Lucas Dostal at 7,400, I will have some interest. And Vijmelka, if you want to get punty, just because like Colorado is going to shoot a ton and Arizona's at home. He's under 7K. If he, sees the save bonus and doesn't give up more than 4, I think he won't kill you.
Yeah, I like that as well. So Anze Kopitar, Drake Batherson, you 2 hat trick picks. We got to get out of here. Remember the MMA Live Before Lock coming up in about 25 minutes. For producer Mike, for Josh, we're going to say good luck tonight, everybody, and we'll see you next week.